Hey everybody, welcome to episode 29 of the Stop and Give Me 20 podcast, 20 minutes with some of the world's top fitness professionals. I'm your host, Anthony Rennie. You can check out the show notes at stop20podcast.com. That's stop20podcast.com. Before you do that, go to iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe to the show. Leave us a rating and a review. I know I say it every week, but it's going to help us out. All right. For today's episode, I have on Cassandra Forsythe. And Cass is the author of two popular nationally publicized books for women, The New Rules for Lifting for Women and Women's Health Perfect Body Diet. She has her doctorate in exercise science and nutrition from UConn, and she's a registered dietitian. She's also a certified strength and conditioning specialist, certified sports nutritionist. She's currently an assistant professor in the physical education and exercise science department at Central Connecticut State University, where she teaches courses on group leadership, theories in strength and conditioning, intro to exercise science, health promotion and exercise testing, and prescription. I mean, what else can you have on your plate? Cass, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Anthony.
All right, let's get right into it. What's your story?
So when I was 11 years old, I wanted to be an American Gladiator. I even had a name. I was going to be Statica.
You had a name. I love it.
I had a name, and that's because it was really dry in the town I grew up in, and I used to have a lot of static electricity on my clothes, so I just thought that was a cool name. But I remember staying up late at night with my girlfriends, and when American Gladiators came on, and I just admired the women with muscle and the men with muscle too. And then, Roller Jam would come on after that, and that was a cool show, and then I'd fall asleep. But I was a gymnast when I was younger, not necessarily a super successful gymnast. I mean, I didn't compete in college, but loved gymnastics, and I couldn't wait to come home and flex for my dad. I mean, check out my quads, look at my biceps, and I've always been, I guess, a muscle luster. So that's my story. I like muscle.
Very cool. Wait, so you did the gym. Were you doing any kind of workouts at the time? Outside of the gymnastics.
Well, I mean, I was heavily competing in gymnastics, so that was my only thing. And then when I was 13, I actually found out I have a broken spine. I have spondylolisthesis, so my L5-S1 are not connected and they're slipped. And right now, and I'm almost at a grade 3, my spine looks really bad, which we'll talk about a little bit more. But so then I started lifting. So I went into the gym, and I couldn't do sports at that time because I kind of had no opportunity to do sports. And in Canada, we don't really focus on sports a lot, especially in the town I grew up in. So I hit the gym and I just became obsessed with building a lot of muscle. And I loved flexing in the mirror. That was my thing. And I've got pretty good biceps from it. So I'm proud of that.
Nice. Well, we know your superhero name, Statica. But who is that superhero growing up? Who is that person that kind of influenced you?
I would absolutely say it's my dad. I know that seems cliche, like your parents, but I love my father. I'm actually adopted, so that he's not my birth father per se, but he's the only dad I have. And I could not be more proud of the man he is. He's a hardworking, kind, gentle, brilliant man who's, when I grew up in Canada, he's a silviculture forester. So he helped develop all the forests and, planting trees and replanting trees, that kind of stuff. And he can do anything. I mean, he's 70 this year and he's still doing handyman work around town. He has a 6-pack. He works out every single morning. He's got a really bad back too. And he still doesn't let that be an excuse for him not to do what his body can do. And he's one of my favorite people in this whole world. I love him.
Very cool. I love it. 6-pack. Now, does he take any advice from you in terms of workouts?
Absolutely, he does. He does. Because of his bad back. I mean, he read the core training book with, I just totally blanked on the guy that owns the facility out in the West Coast.
Exos, Athletes Performance and
Exos.
Okay.
Yes, that's it. I can't, because he changed his name, and I'm like, what's it called now? But anyway, Exos. So there was a core book that he had wrote. My dad read that, and it worked really well for him. But then, I remember he was telling me he did squats every morning, and I finally got to see him do squats, and I was like, oh, that's like a deep knee bend. Let's fix that. And he told me his knees were hurting. So we fixed that. And then with his core, I showed him some new core exercises that, in addition to what the amazing information that was in that book he learned. But he does listen to me when I say these are the people to follow and this is a good information. And I'll send him, email him links to articles and stuff, and he absolutely reads them. He's very proud of me, and I'm very proud of him.
That's very cool. Love it. All right, besides him then, because he's kind of becoming my superhero right now, but who now are you kind of looking up that's out there doing some great things? Again, you're surrounded by so many amazing people who are doing some really great things. Who are you looking up to right now?
So there's I was going to say for this one is, the person I look up to right now is my daughter. I know that seems a little cliche too, but I'll give you the reason why. So I went through a divorce back in 2013, and I just remember my daughter, how resilient she was through all of it. It absolutely affected her emotionally at some points, but she's, so good now where she's, it's mommy's house this weekend, daddy's house next weekend. And she's really good at just kind of staying out of, even if like her dad and I have any, disagreements about things, she just kind of stays neutral and is like, yeah, whatever. And she's just turning 7. And at that age, I find that very inspiring just to show to her strength. So that's one thing. But in terms of the person there's so many great people in our industry. I would say like Brett Contreras is one I really, really look up to. He works his ass off. I remember when Brett contacted me, I think 8 years ago. It was before my daughter was born. And so that'd be like 8 years ago. And he asked me, Cass, how did you get published, in your books, and, how are you successful? And you're doing academia right now. And he was doing the same thing. And I said, I connected him with John Berardi. And then I told him, that, it was kind of luck, but also hard work. And he's just blown up and I love reading all his stuff. So in terms of one of the people out there I really look up to is him. He really pushes, and he's awesome.
Very cool. All right. What about you? Who are you trying to be a superhero to? Because again, you're teaching you're an assistant professor. There's so many with all of your books, and you kind of spoken a lot to women, but you've spoken to people in general. You've worked with a lot of clients. Who do you feel like you're trying to be a superhero to?
I would say to my students. I love what I get to do every day. I actually wanted to be a teacher when I was a kid. Back, in my hometown of Prince George in Canada, I used to take apple boxes and turn them upside down and turn them into desks. And we had a chalkboard in the basement. And I used to teach to the neighborhood kids. So teaching is something I've always loved to do. And coaching is teaching too. So that's another reason, I used to own a gym and I used to coach a lot. That's another method of teaching. But I look to be a superhero for my students. I'm always looking for the best ways to deliver information to them, to allow them to have fun in class, to give them real life experiences. And my evaluations for my students do show that they appreciate the fact that I'm real and I'm open and I'm honest and I'm raw and but I give them amazing information that they can use to develop into amazing young professionals and the future of our fitness industry. So that's who I look to be a superhero for. But then also letting them know that, hey, what I've done and what I've accomplished was not handed to me on a silver platter, and no one paid my way through school. I came here to the U.S. in 2004 by driving my car packed with everything I owned in a 5-day trip across Canada without a cell phone. I had a paper map, and there were times when I first moved to the United States that I didn't know if I could pay my rent and what I was going to eat, for sure the next day. So, definitely struggling is normal, and letting students know it makes you, the cliche, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It absolutely does. It teaches you to be resilient and to keep pushing in any face of adversity. So I look to be the superhero for my students so that they succeed and continue to go on to bettering themselves past their bachelor's into advanced degrees and, inspiring other people in the same way.
Love it. And you know what? I want to expand on that because we had a good conversation before we hit record, and you were talking about the program at Central Connecticut. Because that, to me, like you were talking about, they're the future of the industry, and I love what you're doing with some of these things and how you're structuring some of these classes. Talk to us a little bit about some of the things you feel like you're doing differently there and you'd like to see other schools kind of model.
Yeah, we actually have an outstanding program, and our students, we used to, just 10 years ago, we had enrollment of around 50 students. We're over 300 now. Our program is just booming. And the students that come in, before they're actually admitted to take the advanced classes, they have to do a professional program interview. And I was doing those last week, and we basically grilled the students like, why are you taking this degree? And when you get out of this degree, what are you going to do with it? Like, you could just be a personal trainer by taking a certificate weekend course, but, why are you spending 4 years here? What's that going to do for you? What are you going to do with this information that's above and beyond what someone with a weekend certificate is going to do, or, becoming a physical therapist or a chiropractor or athletic trainer, stuff like that. So what I'm doing differently specifically is I'm giving them a lot of real world experiences. Like, they listen to your podcast, Anthony, in both my facility management class. They listen to the facility design videos you did with the different professionals across the U.S. and Canada, where you walk them through the facilities. Which one is that one called, Anthony?
Strength Coach TV.
That's Strength Coach TV. Okay, I was like, you have so many names. I'm like, which one am I talking about right now? And then they listen to the Strength Coach podcast in my Theories of Strength training class, to different strength coaches, and obviously their theories and methods with respect to strength training. So I use your information, real world information from people actually practicing in the field, rather than just talking out of a textbook. And then we do a ton of hands-on stuff. I'm teaching them coaching and corrective exercise techniques and regressions and progressions. And if they're going to teach group classes, don't just throw out random exercises. Here's how you design a class with all the different elements of fitness. And my colleagues are doing the same thing. So we give them like a really practical, useful experience in school that's so much more than just, like I said, memorizing stuff out of a textbook and, listening to a teacher that's never actually even practiced in the field tell you what to do, where I've practiced in the field and a lot of my colleagues have as well. So it's really impactful for them, and we really are proud of what we do there.
That's really great. It just gives me hope too, because I think that program, it just sounds like, okay, you've blown up, but you're going to blow up even more, because it's going to become really, that's one of the complaints I think a lot of people who've gone through programs, right? What do people always say? I didn't learn anything in college. It wasn't until I opened my facility that I really learned stuff. But now there's so many more resources to learn from real people and like what's really happening out there in the trenches. Great stuff. Nice job.
Yeah.
What do you love about kind of the students that are coming in right now? I mean, only because, you know what, we try to keep it positive here. We hear so many bad things about the millennials, right? But like, you're teaching them. You're seeing some great people. Talk to me about how they're coming in and their attitude, and what's some good things about this group.
I mean, there definitely is a variance, obviously, within the student population. But when you really connect to the students, like I try to do, you can see what their real potentials are. Like, I actually had one student, this student, Chris, and he said the reason he came to Central was because of me, because he heard me on podcasts and read my articles. And he's now putting himself in the research realm. So he's helping with some eccentric training studies, and, getting involved with, the real practical stuff. And then, he's looking at doing a master's in order to become, someone that really understands the research and can do some of his own when he gets out in the field. And, he kicks ass at training. He's a really strong guy. And we have other students that are doing the same thing, that are, winning competitions in, research presentations at looking at some really cool strength training techniques. And then I have a student right now, I'm running a study on push-ups in women right now. And, I've got a football player that's helping me. That's been an incredible help. And he, originally wasn't really necessarily a great student. And he's really picked up his game because he's, actually he's in all 4 of my classes this semester, but, he's finding like how learning is really fun, and that it's really helping him to be better as an athlete. So overall, our students, I think this millennial generation, they have a lot of knowledge and a lot of, in the technology world that we don't necessarily have. Like, I will be the first to admit that I don't really know how to use Instagram that well, or a lot of the social media stuff. And I will not use Snapchat. I just do not have time for that. But I mean, this is how they communicate and they understand it. So they're speaking the language of what this generation understands. And with them being professionals, they can put quality professional information out there to influence people that are looking at social media. So I really think that, with the education that they're getting, they're making a positive impact on what people are looking at.
Absolutely. And it goes both ways because, we can complain about a generation, et cetera. But I can tell you right now, I went to school for business, right? Like a lot of people say that, right? In the beginning,
Right.
I'm in school for business. But I had a marketing teacher, which, believe it or not, was after I'd gone to a 4-year college for like 2 years, I transferred to a junior college. That junior college, the teacher that I had, Peter Dukas, he actually owned a liquor store, but he was
Wow.
unbelievable. He inspired me to go and get my 4-year degree. So it had nothing to do. He doesn't even know this, by the way. I should tell him actually if I've
You
reached out to him
should.
somehow. But
You
he
should.
inspired me through his teaching. So it does go both ways, and it's so great that people like you are out there influencing this generation. Love it.
Thank you.
Cool. Now it's time for the stop and give me 5 segment, 5 rapid fire questions and answers. You ready to go?
Yes.
All right. You got that big nutrition background, among other things. But what's your favorite guilty pleasure food? This is probably more for me, so I can know what.
I like white chocolate, and my fiance is actually a candy maker, so he
my
brings me gourmet white chocolate home when I need it. And every day I eat chocolate because I believe in everything in moderation, which is completely true. Because if I'm not restricting it, it means I'm not going to binge on it. And it's if I can have it, I have it. So
There you go. Nice.
Love it.
Love it. See, I'm a dark I love the 90%. I actually love that. I'm like I can have like a good piece of it and be fine. People are like, oh, have the 90 because it's doesn't taste
Yeah.
as good, but I still love it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I for some reason I just have this thing for white chocolate, so I'm just going with it right now.
All right. You
Yep.
you can have lunch, or no, you can have white chocolate with anyone you've not met yet on the planet. Who's that going to be?
It's going to be Eddie Vedder because I am in love with Pearl Jam, and Eddie Vedder is the lead singer of Pearl Jam. And I mean, the whole Pearl Jam band, I mean, if they could all be there, that would be great. But Eddie's done some really great things. And I used to say that he was my imaginary husband because I love his voice. So, and I would just learn about, his love for the, different sports teams he has, and his just ability to really make a positive impact on people with his music and his words. So I would love to sit down with him.
Great answer. I go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony every year when it's in Brooklyn, and it's sold out right now. But I am definitely going to that because.
I know they're inducted into it. I'm so proud of them. Like they
Yeah.
deserve it. They make amazing music, have such great albums. Like 10 is probably one of the best albums ever created, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I wore out
Yes.
that cassette when it first came out.
Yes, amazing.
What is your favorite teaching moment?
Gosh, there's a lot. I can't even think of one. I thought of this so much, but it's just whenever I have a student that will come to me after class or in my office hours because I've been so open with them that they're able to share with me struggles that they're having. So, I mean, recently this semester, I had a student, I could notice she was struggling in class. She's usually a very bright student. I said, "Are you doing okay?" And she, opened up to me and let me know that her sister was in the hospital for her 4th drug overdose. And it was just really hurting her and her family. And, she just kind of needed someone to talk to. So letting them know that I'm there for them, as a mentor, as a friend, but definitely as their teacher, like on a professional level, but letting them know if they have something on their plate that, is hurting their academia, let me know so I can, if they need a little bit more time to finish an assignment because of that, okay, I can do that. So I think that's my favorite thing is to being able to connect on a level that helps them in their personal lives as well.
Nice job. Proudest fitness achievement. You've been doing so much that this is an interesting one.
I would say because of the fact that I have a really, really bad back, like my spine, I just actually had my nerves froze on one side of my spine, so I don't feel anything. But
God.
yeah, the spondylolisthesis I have is pretty advanced, and I deal with pain almost every day, and it's just obnoxious, but I still train like a badass, and I don't do things that are going to exacerbate my situation. I'm not dumb that way, but I train smart, and I'm just very proud of all I've accomplished with, deficiencies in my body that, some people would say I'm in pain, or I have a broken back, I'm not going to exercise. I'm like, no, I exercise because I have a broken back, because it makes me feel good to be strong, and it actually supports my spine. So that's what I would say my proudest fitness accomplishment is exercising despite this issue I've got, and I'm cool with it.
Agreed. You're right. A lot of people would just give up on that one. So,
Yeah.
Last one. If you could be in any movie from the past, what would it be?
Oh, Coming to America.
Oh.
I love that movie with Arsenio Hall and Eddie Murphy, and which is ironic because I actually came to America.
Yeah, there you go.
So I used to love that movie before I even knew I was ever going to move to the U.S., but it is so funny. It is literally my favorite movie ever.
I would have loved to be in the barbershop scene, right?
The barbershop scene is so funny.
Yeah.
The whole movie is funny, Soul Glow. Oh my God. I am not African American, but I wish I was for that movie, or I was the awkward white person in the movie. So amazing.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I thought you were going to say Singles. You know the movie Singles?
No, I don't. What's that one?
Oh my God, Eddie Vedder actually has a little piece in that. It's about the whole Seattle scene. Matt Dillon, he's in it. You got to see Singles. All right.
Oh my God, why do I not know about it? Okay, I will be watching that tonight. Thank you very much. Next movie for the night.
He makes a short appearance, but so does Soundgarden is in it. So yeah, you got to get that. Come on.
Oh my God, all the 90s grunge, 90s music. That is all I love listening to. That is my life.
Awesome. What's the project you're working on that's kind of getting you really excited? Anything?
Two things. I'm super pumped about the push-up study I'm doing at Central right now. So I'm collecting data. I'm trying to get 200 females doing push-ups on their toes, because right now the normative tables for push-ups is for women on their knees. There's actually no comparative tables or standard tables for women to look at how they fare in push-ups in the standard position on their toes. So I'm looking to create that normative table and publish first author on that, and also have some correlations between women on birth control, fitness background, athlete versus non-athlete, and performance in push-ups. So we're collecting data on 19 to 29 age range right now, and then expanding more on that. So I'm really proud of that. And then the other thing is a book, at least one or two books with Rodale that are going to be coming up, one on FODMAPs and one potentially on the circulation solution, which we're trying to work out the outline on that. But hopefully those will be out soon. And then I've got another book that will be coming out by this summer that's called Take It All Off, Keep It All Off, that I wrote with Leslie Rockford. So that I finished that up last year, and that'll be coming out. So cool stuff.
All right, looking forward to that. All right, what's that letter to your younger self? What advice are you going to give young Cass?
That everything's going to be okay. I used to, like most teenage angst, there was that I, didn't like myself, and, acne and awkwardness, and, thinking that, I got picked on in school and stuff like that just keep pushing, and which I did, but there's a little thing saying that it's painful now, but you're going to get to the place where you look back and go, thank God all that happened, because it's made me the strong person I am today. But just kind of giving myself a little comfort on days that were difficult when I was a awkward teenager.
All right. Love it. You're doing... It's so great that we have people like you out there influencing younger people, not only women, because you've done so much to influence women in fitness and nutrition, but really to men too. So we're lucky to have you. The next generation is lucky to have you teaching. And so we appreciate you coming on, taking some time out of your busy schedule to come on the show. Anytime for you, Anthony. Anytime. You do so much for us too. So thank you. Thank you. All right, well, that's going to do it for episode 29 of the Stop and Give Me 20 podcast. Thanks again to Cassandra Forsythe. Make sure to check out all the links to all her stuff at stop20podcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave us a review, and a rating really helps us out. My name's Anthony Rena. Thanks so much for stopping by.